Okay, so it looks like I lost the router. The router just crashed. Okay, so well, okay, yeah, good. It looks like we're back, but sorry about that. Whoever was in the room, my router just crashed, and I kind of lost all touch with everything in digital form. That is. So, where is that hangout? Let me get back to that hangout because that's where everybody was. Okay, there we go. Now I'm in the original call. Alright, so how does this work here? Let me just see if everything, just excuse me everybody, I just got to set things up to make, so be back to where we were, because that crash messed me up, man. It sure messed me up. Should never have had a crash. My router should never have crashed. But it did. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to check audio, see if you can hear me. Never have crashed. Okay. I'm going to type in the side chat. Can anyone see this? Because I just got to make sure there's anyone there. Because I don't know if there is. I'm assuming not. I mean, why should there be? No. Okay, tell you what. I'm going to go and carry on reviewing the video that Jim made. And he came in and interrupted me. Unfortunately, my router sort of crashed in the middle of all that, which is really unfortunate because I had both Jim and some other guy in there, some other Christian. I forget. Could have been Nana, could have been Grimvy, one of them. But you know what? They all sort of mold into one after a while, and you can't fucking tell the difference. So, without further ado, Jim, take it away.
Could you name them for me? Because all I know is Cain and Abel and Seth.
Cain and Abel. Well, again, no, it doesn't give us all the lineage of Adam and Eve, but it does tell us specifically that yes, that they had children and they had many sons and daughters. Let me ask you a question: how many sons and daughters do you think Adam and Eve could have had in, let's say, 600 years? They lived for 900 years. So let's say out of that 900 years, they had 600 years that they were fertile. But how many sons and daughters do you think that Adam and Eve could have had in 600 years?
No idea, right? Because I'm asking you.
Well, let me ask you another question. How many children do you think those children could have had in, let's say, 600 years?
No, 600 years, dude. What the fuck is this 600 years all about? You know, he says, you know that Adam and Eve, they lived to 900 years, right? So they had 900 years to have children. Well, let's just say they had children just over 600 years, okay? Let's just say they did that. In fact, let's make it even more simple. Let's say they had children over only, say, 300 years. Now, look how many children that is. Do you think God doesn't have a plan for perfect genetic bullshit that... Listen to this. This guy is a fucking bullshit artist. Like you've never heard before. Never in your life have you heard anything like this before.
This is where I want to go with it. Christian, this is where I want to go with it, okay?
Exponential amount. There we go.
Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel. Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel.
Adam and Eve had many sons and daughters. Do you deny that?
I don't know, because
the Bible states that specifically. Go look in Genesis chapter 1. Excuse me, hang on a second. You wanted to know a question. I'm going to give you the answer. Go look in Genesis chapter 1. And after the fall, it talked about, and Adam and Eve had many sons and daughters.
And
many.
How did they have children? All them sons and daughters, who did they breed with?
Lord, do you not know how biology works?
Yeah, but they would have been sisters and brothers.
This is not that kind of hangout, dude.
They would have been brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
what about it?
The only
hey, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you know how genetics works?
Yes.
Really? That's awesome. I love working with somebody
because
who knows
I'm a science person.
Oh, I love science. Science and Christianity are best friends. Did you know that?
Christian. So
no, hang on a second. I'm going to ask you a question. I need to.
Did you know that science and Christianity were best friends?
Here we go. I need to ask you a question. You said you know how genetics works. You know how biology works.
Yes.
Why today are close relations not allowed to get married and have children? Why is that?
Because there will be a mix of the DNA, which is the same as itself, and you get throwbacks, which is why I'm asking you.
Hang on a second. No. Hang on a second. No. Again, when you understand that, you know that the genetic code is going in a descent. It's going from a state of complexity to a state of less complexity. When God created Adam and Eve, he said that they were what? Good. When God calls something good, it's now close to perfect as it can be. So God did not tell people that they could not have relations with close relations until later on, I believe in late Leviticus. Because God knew at that point, that's when the mutations were starting to build up and spread out like he made them spread out at the Tower of Babel. Wow. All this science backs up all this stuff. It's really pretty cool.
To save mankind, right? And again, I don't want to know if you've got any children, right? But to save mankind.
I got 7. I'm happy to tell people that.
And again, I'm not accusing you of anything. This is an example I'm using, okay? So to save mankind, there is only 2 people left on this planet. There is only 2 people.
I couldn't do that. I can't save mankind.
There is only 2 people left on this planet. You.
It doesn't matter. I couldn't save mankind. Even if there was only 1 person left on the planet, I couldn't save them.
The question.
Well, I just need to go ahead and help you here, because you're making the premise is wrong right from the get-go. I have no power to save anybody. Nobody. Not even myself.
See, because I believe the only reason people believe in God is because if there is a God, the only person who can forgive is God. And by humans believing in God, it gives them the courage to forgive. Because without God, you can't forgive, because the only person who can forgive is God.
No, I disagree. Because we are called to forgive. God has created us in his image. I think that's a good point. But you need to understand that we are created in his image. And as such, we have the ability to forgive, just the same way we have the ability to love, the same way we have the ability to be hate something that is wrong, like pedophilia or homosexuality. We can have that righteous anger, just the way God.
All right, I just want to make sure that you understood what he threw in there. He said that homosexuality and pedophilia, things that are wrong. Okay, this is the kind of chicanery that this man is throwing at me. Hold on a second. Somebody's trying to get my attention. I just needed to stop that. This is the kind of chicanery and charlatanry or deception that this Christian hillbilly creature throws out to the public. In fact, I'm so disgusted with him about that particular one. I want to play it again, and I just want to also say that don't adjust your sets, because the video blurring effect that originates at the source. I believe it takes a few minutes to be corrected, but he does correct it, or it gets corrected. Let me just go back to this insidious statement that he made.
No, I disagree. because we are called to forgive. God has created us in his image. I think that's a good point. But you need to understand that we are created in his image. And as such, we have the ability to forgive, just the same way we have the ability to love, the same way we have the ability to be to hate something that is wrong, like pedophilia or homosexuality. We have.
See, I'm actually going to make a bit of a palaver out of it, because there's something creepy about this.
In his image. I think that's a good point.
Let's try it right there.
But you need to understand that we are created in his image. And as such, we have the ability to forgive, just the same way we have the ability to love.
Okay, let's try it there instead.
But you need to understand that we are created in his image. And as such, we have the ability to forgive, just the same way we have the ability to love. But you need to understand that we are created in his image. And as such, we have the ability to forgive, just the same way we have the ability to love, the same way we have the ability to be to hate something that is wrong, like pedophilia or homosexuality. We can have that righteous anger, just to be to hate something that is wrong, like pedophilia or homosexuality. We can have that righteous anger, just to be to hate something that is wrong, like pedophilia or homosexuality. We can have that righteous anger, just to be to hate something that is wrong, like pedophilia or homosexuality. We can have that righteous anger, just the way God does. So yes, we are created in his image, and we have the ability to do that as well. So I'm going to disagree with you, but I think that's a good point.
Okay, so God, why would he give something that he created the ability to hate? Because hate is a very, very strong word, I believe.
Oh, absolutely it is. God hates divorce, as a matter of fact. That's how bad he hates that stuff. Why did he give us the ability to choose at all?
God hates divorce. Fair enough. But Christian Hillbilly, my friend, have you not been divorced yourself? So why do you go against what God hates, yet preach the word of God? You are the most hypocritical individual that seriously I've ever come across, just through your actions and your words.
Hoof. You go by that?
Hoof-hearted. Full name?
Hoof-eyed.
Hoof.
Okay.
Heart.
Cool. Well, you can call me Jim, or you can call me Saint Jim, or you can call me Saint Hillbilly. I don't care. But I will tell you this.
Call you Christian, because that's what is on your avatar.
That sounds good. I am a Christian. As a matter of fact, I tell people this right off the bat, that I am a Christian first and everything else second. That's why I'm a Christian hillbilly. I'm a Christian father, a Christian husband, a Christian thing. And then everything else is second. So anyway, the heck were we talking about?
He's a Christian dumbass. He's a Christian ignoramus. He's a Christian nincompoop. We could go on and on.
I just think it's strange that from a man and a woman, Adam and Eve, they've had children, but who did them children breed with? They would have either had to have bred with their parents or each other.
With close relations. No, they would have had close relations, because again, Adam and Eve had many, what? Say it with me. Sons and daughters. So if Adam and Eve over 600 years could have many sons and daughters, during that same 600 years, how many, well, let's just go ahead and cut that down. Let's say 400 years. Over the next 400 years, how many of those sons and daughters do you think can have more sons and daughters? And yes, there was close relations, but I think we've already explained this, that when God created, he created with the ability to have nearly a perfect genetic structure. That's why when God said in the garden that when on this day you will begin to die, you will die, and on that day you will die. That doesn't mean he struck him dead right then and there. What it does mean is they began to degrade and get to the point where they would die. Because God also made a promise. In Genesis, again, it talks about the hang on a second. In Genesis, it talks about the promise of God's redeeming power to come. Go ahead, sir.
So is that why the human race is in such a disarray at the moment, because of all of the generation from the original DNA of Adam and Eve, and where it's been, I'm going to say, incestual liaisons has created defects from Adam and Eve?
No, sir. Now, we live in a sin-broken world. And see, until you understand that part of it, you're also going to have an issue. See, the problem that we have is we have God's creation.
Hey, before we carry on here, what do you guys think of Jim's toga? It looks like, I don't know, Southern German, Bavarian toga. Well, I can't say it doesn't suit him, you know, with his, I know he has lustful thoughts of orgies and whatnot. That's probably what the toga's all about. Although he's probably going to come up with some excuse like it's a sling for his wounded or injured arm or something. Don't believe it.
And when God created, he created it good. He called it good. And when God calls something good, it's close to perfect as perfect can be. But now we've got Adam and Eve. They disobeyed God. What did God tell them to do? God said, you will not eat of the tree of the center of the garden, for on that day you eat of it, you will die. You will begin to die, and also you will die. He made it very clear. So now, when God saw that Adam and Eve had sinned, they had broken the law, they had to be punished. So number one, what did he do? They had originally tried to cover themselves, cover their own sin in leaves. It doesn't work. So God killed an animal, shed the blood of an animal, clothed them in its skin, and then he cursed the entire earth. And all of the earth groans to this day under that curse.
I was brought up, there is only one truth that is guaranteed in this life. One day we all die.
Absolutely.
That is the only
Bible goes a little further than that. It says, one day we were all appointed to die, and then the judgment. See, people don't want to go that far. Every one of us will face a judgment. And when we face that judgment, we will be judged based on the holiness of God compared to who we are in that equation. Now, are we going to say, you know what, God, I don't need you. I can do this myself. I'm good enough. I can do it. You know, I was a good guy. And then you go up, you put your so-called straight edge against the straight edge of God, and you see how crooked you are and how worthy you are of eternal penalty in hell. And I don't want that for anybody.
Well, when I die, put me out with the rubbish. Put me in a black bin bag, put me out with the rubbish, or let animals eat me, because animals through my life, I'll give something back.
But see, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the physical body. We're talking about where you will spend eternity. See, you were designed to be an eternal being, whether you know it or not. God designed each and every one of us to be eternal beings. We have not always, are not a truly eternal being. That is, we have not always existed and always will exist like God, but we are created beings. And from the moment of our creation, when the moment God created us, then we are truly eternal beings from that moment on. And you get the awesome opportunity to choose where you will spend eternity, in a place called hell or in a place called paradise with God, in fellowship with the Creator, who wants to have that relationship with you.
Well, I don't want to go to paradise, because there's a lot of these jihadis, that's where they go to paradise. I don't want to go
sir,
anywhere.
You've never read their book, have you?
No, because it's all the same.
No, sir, it's not the same.
It's all the same.
If it was the same, then we would all be saying the same garbage. But you know what? Christianity.
Okay. I need to stop right there. He says if it was all the same, we'd all be saying the same garbage. Okay, firstly, you are all saying the same garbage, and Christian Hillbilly has a Freudian slip. He has overtly admitted that his Christianity is garbage. Because now he's also, I've also heard him say, I don't know if it's in this talk or not, but he says that all the other religions, Islam and Judaism and all this other stuff, Hinduism, they're all false religions, false gods, false this, false that. But they're garbage, okay? So he says all the other garbage. So he's just admitted that his Christianity is right in there with all the other garbage religions. I think we should carry on.
Is unique. The Muslim jihadists, they think they're going not to a spiritual heaven. They think they're going to a physical whorehouse. They think they're getting 70 virgins. What they don't realize is that is a mistranslation of the Quran. It actually says they get one toothless 70-year-old virgin. Now, you think they'd want to go there now?
Well, you never blowjob off of her and you still think it's being shoved in her fanny.
That was a joke, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Thank you for noticing. But the point being is the Quran, right from Surah 9:5, where it tells to go out and kill all the people of the way, tax them, mutilate them, chop off their heads, and that's every infidel, including the people of the way. So no, that's not the same thing. They're not all the same. There are two religions on this planet, only two. And most people do not know this. Are you ready for a real big insight?
Give it to me.
There are two religions on this entire planet. There is Islam, Buddhism, Krishna, all these other, atheism is one of them. They are religions of works. And then there's the one and only religion of grace. That realizes that we are penniless and powerless to do anything about our situation. And God has to do it for us. And he did so by sending his one and only son to pay the price for our sins at Calvary, die and rise again on the third day. So you got your religion of works, and then you've got Christianity, the religion of grace, the only one of its kind.
I believe religion has corrupted the human race. And another point, how can I put this? No, I can't do it without being rude, and I'm not going to be rude because you don't deserve that.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. And I will say you've had some good questions, and I appreciate the dialogue.
No, but see, I think people should take credit themselves instead of giving credit to God for achieving things. Because I'm a creator, so I must be a God. I created life.
Let me ask you a question, though, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I've created life. I've created food. And I'm not going to give any thanks to God. It was me that done it. Nobody else done it.
Really?
Yeah.
Who gave you the ability to do it?
Me.
Really?
Yeah.
So you are the one that formed your cells in your mother's womb, that set your brain cells in the fashion that they are set. You are the one that did all those things prior to your being physically born. You did all that?
No, my mother and father done that.
Oh, how do you know that?
Because they created me. Without them two, I wouldn't have been
Oh,
created.
wait a minute. No, they didn't create you. No. To create means to fashion something ex nihilo, out of nothing. Now, they formed you, absolutely. You were formed in your mother's womb. Absolutely. From the combination of your father's sperm and your mother's egg, you were formed in the womb. You were not created. That's a difference. Are you snapping your fingers because you're mad or what?
No, that's my lighter, electric lighter, and...
Sorry.
Right.
But the difference being is you cannot create anything. You can form things out of matter that's around you. Absolutely. I do that every day. I work in wood. I make things out of wood when my arm's not busted. But I love to make things out of wood, but I don't create anything. I can fashion or form it into something, but I cannot create, because to create means to spontaneously make it out of absolutely nothing.
Listen to this man talk nonsense. He is just full of it.
And we can't do that. We're not creators. There's only one creator.
Sorry, Christian. I've had a little think, and I don't think I'm going to be rude in what I'm going to say, right? Now, I do not believe in the God that you're believing in, okay, which I'm entitled to do. But if I'm going to believe in a creator, and this is where the problem is, from time, it's been a very male-dominated world. And I believe that God was invented, right, in a male form, because people wouldn't be happy that really the true creator is Mother Nature. And with the term,
and how would you know that?
With the term Mother Nature, it's quite feminine, but that's what I believe in. It's Mother Nature that.
But how would you know that? How could you know that?
That's what I've seen with my eyes. I haven't seen anything.
You've seen Mother Nature create.
Yeah.
And what would you use as an example of Mother Nature creating?
The Grand Canyon. Something that
you saw that. You saw the creation of the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon can be explained how it was created, and it was Mother Nature.
Sir, the Grand Canyon can be best explained by a global flood, but we won't go there right now.
Okay, I want you guys to table this. The Grand Canyon can best be explained by a global flood. He doesn't want to go there right now. Fine. But let somebody table this to bring up at a later date, because I would love to hear this story. Actually, I really wouldn't, because it would be a waste of time. But okay, forget that. Don't table it.
You were not there to see that. Now, were you?
Not at the time, but I've seen the evidence.
So how do you know? How do you know that the Grand Canyon is evidence for what you're talking about?
By the same token, prove to me that God created us.
Oh, I can do that, no problem. But see, but first you're going to have to explain to me your position.
Well, it's that I believe in Mother Nature.
Okay, again, you believe.
Okay, so he's asked to explain God. So Christian Hillbilly says, okay, I'll explain God, but first you have to explain to me your position. Why? Why, Christian Hillbilly? Are you scared to answer questions? You have a very precise way of evading every single question that's thrown to you. You have not once ever answered a question correctly, decisively, with a yes or no when required, once, when you've been asked by anyone that I've ever heard ask you a question, or by anyone that disagrees with you in your well, who not disagrees with you so much, but who joins with you in your delusion.
Yeah,
that's fine. I understand the belief, and I can deal with the belief. But you're trying to say that science backs up this belief. That you're trying to say this is a valid belief system based on the evidence around you. And I'm saying, sir, that's not the way it works, because I love to do science. I teach science. So I love science. And science.
Hello? Did I hear correctly? Did I seriously hear correctly that he? Okay, I'm just gonna let me just. This is just too much for me.
Well, it's that I believe in Mother Nature.
Okay, again, you believe.
Yeah,
that's fine. I understand the belief, and I can deal with the belief. But you're trying to say that science backs up this belief. That you're trying to say this is a valid belief system based on the evidence around you. And I'm saying, sir, that's not the way it works, because I love to do science. I teach science. That you're trying to say this is a valid belief system based on the evidence around you. And I'm saying, sir, that's not the way it works, because I love to do science. I teach science. That you're trying to say this is a valid belief system based on the evidence around you. And I'm saying, sir, that's not the way it works, because I love to do science. I teach science. That you're trying to say this is a valid belief system based on the evidence around you. And I'm saying, sir, that's not the way it works, because I love to do science. I teach science. So I love science, and science does not back up your belief.
I've viewed with my eyes Mother Nature changing things on this planet. I have not seen any evidence of God doing anything.
I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and point something out to you, sir. You have a presupposition. You're going into it with the presupposition that there is no God and no how did no God create none of this. So I'm going to go into it thinking in advance that there had to be something to do with nature that did this. So you're going in and looking at something as big as the Grand Canyon and saying nature had to have done this. Now, how can I make this work? So, sir, that is a presuppositional position that is not defensible with science, because you can say, oh, I believe this, but you can't say that science backs it up or that's what we see, because it's not. What we do see is we see evidence just, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this area where I'm from. I'm from the United States. Are you from around here?
No, I'm from the UK.
I didn't think you were, so I just wanted to ask. So have you ever heard of, oh my goodness, it just slipped my mind. I was just thinking about it. Oh, goodness gracious.
Okay, now he's going to come and tell you that he's brain dead or something like that. He's going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm brain dead. I have a brain injury, so sometimes I'm really stupid.
Mount St. Helens, there it goes. Oh my goodness, I tell you what, I had a brain injury a while back, and I'm doing much better, but still, I struggle to pull things up every now and again. Anyway, Mount St. Helens. If you go look at the evidence from Mount St. Helens, which was a volcano that exploded, you'll see extremely similar structures and formations as you see in the Grand Canyon. And guess what?
This is nonsense. I live near Mount St. Helens. I was here when Mount St. Helens erupted. It didn't explode. It erupted. It was if you can imagine a volcano erupting only on one side, that's what happened to Mount St. Helens. There's no Grand Canyon. That's nothing like that at all. It's ash. A volcano erupted. It sort of collapsed on one side. All the ash sort of collected on that one side of the mountain and destroyed everything in its path. It has nothing to do with the Grand Canyon, as this nutter is the science teacher is teaching us.
They happened in the space of 8 days, and they look exactly like the Grand Canyon. Not only that, but we've always been really confused about how we can have these trees, these tree trunks sitting upright in the multiple layers of strata in the Grand Canyon. Go look it up. It's really interesting. They've got all these trees that should be through.
Go look it up. Go on. Go look it up.
Millions of years of strata based on what the evolutionists say. But guess what? We see the exact same thing in the Mount St. Helens event, where all these trees were brushed down off the side of the mountain into this big wash basin where they all came together, and the heavy ends went down and the light ends went up, and they all stayed that way until the mud settled around them. Wow. And it happened in the space of, again, 8 days. So that's science.
So he's claiming that Mount St. Helens formed a Grand Canyon type geological event within 8 days of it erupting in 1980, whenever it was.
Something you can observe, you can test, you can repeat. If you can see one of those again. But again, that is how science is done. Now we see that it can be done in very short order. Again, 8 days. So, how do you go about defending your position?
By saying that I've witnessed what Mother Nature can do. I've not witnessed anything that God can do.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Why is there something rather than nothing?
Why shouldn't there be nothing?
This is a problem that philosophers have been fighting with since the dawn of creation.
Instead of believing...
I just want to just point out that Christian Hillbilly, the scientist, the pseudo-scientist, who claims to love science, who claims to teach science, also has made a statement on record that evolution is a lie. I just needed to, full disclosure, bring this to your attention, okay? Because it's relevant.
Why is there
I believe,
something
instead
rather
of
than
people-
nothing?
You can believe in God if you want, but I think it's best to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself.
Did you create everything that is created?
No,
Did you create
I'm
all
not
time,
claiming.
space,
I'm
and
not
matter?
claiming it. I'm not
Can you
claiming it.
explain how all time, space, and matter was created? I can.
I didn't claim that.
Because you're claiming a position of stupidity. It's called an agnostic stupidity. I'm not actually calling you any kind of name or anything like that, but you're claiming a name of a position of stupidity. That's not available to you because I'm making it known to you exactly the way things work. So this position of stupidity is no longer available to you, sir. You either have to cling on to a lie, so you're no longer.
So Christian Hillbilly seems to have the copyright, the sole monopoly on a position of stupidity, which is why it's no longer available to anybody else. So please, everybody else, do not try stupidity in any of your arguments, because Christian Hillbilly is the sole owner of that right.
Just ignorant of the subject. Now you are believing a lie because you don't want to believe the truth, or you are incapable of understanding the truth. So which one would it be?
He believes in God and follows the Bible. Like I said earlier, I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to be rude. Right now, I don't believe in God whatsoever. Right, but I've not called you stupid.
But if you don't believe in God, how do you base anything on any kind of facts?
Can I finish, please? Can I finish, please?
What do you base?
Okay, you see how he's interrupting now? He's annoying his guest.
I've not called you stupid.
Morality on. I mean, you're sitting there. You don't want to be rude, but what do you base your baseline of rude on? I mean, you're sitting there. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to do this. But wait a minute. That's not anything to do with your belief system. That's your personal preference, because your belief system would say.
He doesn't get it. He's not getting the social cue from his guest that his guest is being annoyed by Christian Hillbilly. Watch this.
That there is no morality. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I've not called you stupid. I've not called you ignorant. I've let you have your say.
No, sir. I'm not calling. I'm pointing the fact out that you're taking a position of stupidity and ignorance.
You said you must be stupid, and then you said.
I said you must be taking a position of stupidity, of ignorance, or ignorance rather. So which would you rather be called? Would you rather be ignorant, or would you rather be a liar? Because you're either one or the other.
Now, I don't know if this is passive-aggressive or extreme passive-aggressive. What would you call this?
I would rather call myself a decent human being who believes in their
Well, I can prove that's not the case.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. I can prove that to you. You ready?
Go on.
Have you ever told a lie? Doesn't take long, does it? Yep, he left. He was being quite pleasant. I mean, I liked his conversation. And like I said earlier, I will not eject somebody unless they're being completely rude. And I've not had to eject but one person.
So that person, you'll not eject someone unless they're being completely rude. But you will be completely rude to your guests. Tell me something. Tell me, Christian Hillbilly, how you sleep at night. You have no integrity. You have no credibility. I'm not even going to say anything more because there's more of this video to go, and it even gets better than what you've seen.
That was that Russ guy.
Like everybody else left on their own accord.
Uh-oh, my dog's barking. I'll be right back. She's not trying to kill somebody.
Hey, Benny. Have you been listening this whole time?
I'm going to start fast forwarding a little bit because...
Okay, I'm back. Thank you.
Oh, not here.
Yeah, I've been listening this whole time too. Hey, welcome back.
Good. I'm glad to hear it there, heathen.
Okay, just as a point of observation here, heathen is neutral. Benny, well, we'll call Benny neutral as well. But basically, they're there on Christian's side in a way. They're trolling him, maybe, but they're there. They're there to not. They're not there to snipe him. They're not there to stop the show. They're there to encourage him in a way. So, watch how Jim handles his entourage of encouragers.
Did you see Benny's question?
Oh, how did I hurt my arm? I fell. Actually, I fell twice. It's a multiple. it's a long story. My daughter's dog.
Okay, and also he has to introduce misogyny into his story. He always does, and he doesn't fail this time.
Knocked me down a couple times, which I knew the last time I'd hurt myself. I fell walking up a set of steps, which I knew that kind of exasperated it. And then I thumped the table, talking passionately, and that set it off, and I broke it. And I knew I'd broke it as soon as it hit. It snapped, and I knew it. Turned purple within an hour. Oh yeah, still is.
I mean, because you broke a bone, right?
Hey, yeah, it's never fun to break a bone.
I don't know what that feels like because I've never broken a bone. The dog was looking for.
No, Benny, my daughter's dog is a 160-pound albino Great Dane, and between him and my dog, which weighs about 30 pounds, medium-sized dog, they were wrestling, and I got to wrestling with them, and I'd gotten pretty well scratched up and bruised up before from where he is rough, but he got behind me, and I wasn't paying attention, and just he knocked me down. And instead of hitting flat on my butt, I put my arms back, and my right arm caught first. And I knew I'd hurt it right then. That was the main one that really popped it. Because I've been having problems for the last 3 months with it. Doing good, doing good. Since I have my arm in a sling, my wife doesn't beat me near as often.
See?
She just said, oh my goodness. Although I will tell you this is what I show people my hand, and I say, this is what happens at my house when you don't say yes, ma'am. No, it was all me. I got to admit, I'm just clumsy and old. That's not a good combination. Oh, hey now. We're not going there, honey. Yeah, she's in the other room. She can hear me. Benny says hello, and so does Heathen. Hello to both, you and Heathen.
Aren't they friendly? Mrs. Hillbilly, Heathen, Benny, Christian Hillbilly, all buddies.
Well, I know, but I know you'd say hello to him even though you don't know him. I know how you are, honey. My wife doesn't know you, Heathen. She goes, well, I'm not going to say hello to him. I don't know him. But if she was in here, she would say hello to you, so I'm going to say hello. There you go.
That's fine by me. All right. So yeah, like earlier when that guy was talking about the Genesis story and the sons of Adam and Eve, I was like, yeah,
yes.
He did admit that he hasn't read it, and he showed it. He showed that he hasn't, because it says in the Bible that, yeah, like you said, they had like many sons and daughters, but they also had another kid who is named in the Bible, and that was Seth.
Yep. But that's not what he was looking for.
Yeah.
What he was looking for, and I knew it, was a lineage. Okay, so Adam and Eve had and named 47,000 people. Doesn't happen that way. That's not what. And again, until we got later on in the Bible, they didn't start keeping track of the lineage. So some of it is definitely lost, but we still kept good records, or they kept good records, because they transferred it orally in that tradition. and they knew it was directly from God and had to be preserved, so they did so in the most perfected way they could.
Yeah. Did anybody hear that? This is verbal drivel you're listening to.
Because yeah, you know, like people ask me all the time how you know, if Adam and Eve had 2 kids, then you know, where did Cain and Abel, or where did Cain find his wife? And I was like, well, you know, it says in Genesis that they had other kids, so yeah, I mean, I suppose, although it doesn't explicitly state it, that Cain married his sister.
Yep. I mean, it would have been a close relative, no matter how you go.
Yeah.
And again, that's okay, because God created them with a perfect genetic structure.
Okay, see? There's an assertion. God created them with a perfect genetic structure. Where's the chapter and verse on that one, Jim?
And you know, that's what really is so neat about the science behind this. When you look at genetic entropy, and yes, there is such a thing, we show going from a state of order to a state of complexity to a state of disorder. And that's why they've even projected that the human race cannot live more than another, I can't remember what it was now, but it was a set number of generations. I'm not even going to put a number on it because I don't remember, it's been so long. But just go ahead and look up genetic entropy.
Just go ahead and look it up. I can't remember I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but genetic entropy, or whatever the fuck you said. Have you ever heard of genetic entropy? Well, no, never heard of genetic entropy. Well, genetic entropy is something that is, I'm not quite sure, something about, I'm quite vague about it, but you just go look it up. This is the way Jim's philosophy, the approach to philosophy is.
Entropy, it's a very interesting topic.
All right. Yeah. What are some sources that you recommend, though?
Google.
Excuse me. I gotta laugh. I mean, I gotta stop it and laugh. Otherwise, I'll just disturb. There we go. Sorry.
All right. That's a search engine. All right.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
So Jim, Christian Hillbilly recommends as a source, as a primary source for information, a search engine. This is how brilliant he is.
Yeah, okay, I'll check it out. Not right now, but some other time. Let's see. So.
All right. Well, you can't add people, Benny, because this is one of them unsnipeable hangouts. But you can.
You can't add people, Benny. It's an unsnipeable hangout. It's Jim, Christian Hillbilly's telling you it's an unsnipeable hangout.
Give them the hangout address, which I put in the hangout once before. But let me see if I can find it. Where the hell is it?
So Christian, I got a question for you.
Just remember, Dan, who's on the screen right now, that this is an unsnipeable hangout and everybody's friendly. Benny's friendly with Dan, Dan's friendly with Benny, Benny's friendly with Jim, Jim's friendly with Benny, Mrs. Hillbilly's friendly with all three of them. It's just a happy little community.
You know, to understand your.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's an unsnipeable hangout. Remember that.
Your position better. Like, do you think the universe was created around 6,000 to 10,000 years ago?
Depends on where you're at.
Depends on where you're at.
Yes.
Wait, are you?
Because you know that time is relative.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So, according to where we are, yes, it would have been between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago. If you were at some place on the other side of the galaxy, and I don't even pretend to understand the physics behind it. I've listened to a couple different.
I love science. I teach science, but I don't understand physics behind anything.
Really interesting talks. There was this one Jewish gentleman that gave an excellent talk on it, and about how when it expanded, that it would have met up with exactly what the Bible talks about. But anyway,
there was this. I love science. There's this one Jewish guy who talked about something about how the universe expanded and met up with something that the Bible talked about. I love science. I teach science. But anyway,
from that standpoint, it might be millions of years because that's how the time is stretching out. Oh, look at that! Who's coming in there? Oh, it's Benny. Benny's ball is just expanding. Now that's scary. But if you're asking if I am a young Earth creationist, yes, I am.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I already figured by now.
Well, and again, when it comes right down to it, it doesn't matter the time frame. I have people that I love dearly that believe that it's an old Earth, that that it took millions of years, blah blah blah. Now, when they start talking about theistic evolution, then I have to have a difference of opinion with them. We have to have a separation. But as long as they understand the time frame is not the main thing. The main thing is that in the beginning, God created.
Right. Yeah, because yeah, like most young Earth creationists that I talk to, they have issues with the Big Bang. Wait.
Oh, I love the Big Bang.
You love me.
well, of course you love the Big Bang. You love science, Jim. You teach science. You love the Big Bang.
Yeah,
love the Big Bang. It meets up with exactly what we think should actually be there.
Do you know who came up with the idea in the first place?
Of the Big Bang?
Yeah.
Nope. But I do know this, that it really meets up with exactly what the Bible says. God spoke, and bang, it happened.
Yeah, okay. The guy who came up with it was a Catholic priest named George Lemaitre.
Oh, yes, I do remember reading about this. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. It's been a while.
He didn't call it the Big Bang himself. He called it the
yeah, but somebody else did after that when it was being presented or something.
He called it the primeval atom, and then this other guy named Fred Hoyle, who opposed the Big Bang, he called it the Big Bang, and in jest, he was making fun of the idea, and that name stuck. And
gotta love it. See, if you have a Big Bang, you got to have a Big Banger. So who was the Big Banger behind the Big Bang?
Dark energy.
Dark energy. And how do you know that? What is dark energy?
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I know that's like a candidate being
that's a candidate. So once again, you're not talking about science. You're simply talking about your beliefs. So what is dark energy, and what's any science behind it?
Well, I mean, from what I've read, they think that dark energy is the energy of so-called empty space. Which isn't really empty.
Excuse me. Wait a minute. Empty space, by its very nature, if it is truly empty, cannot have anything in it, so it would not be able to provide any power.
It's a misnomer. It's not really empty. Let's call it space.
Yes, I'm familiar with this dark energy theory. I am familiar with it. That's why I'm making fun of you, because it is ridiculous.
All righty, then.
Thank you very much. See, the problem with it is how do you know any of that? It's just thrown out there, just anything and everything, just to deny what we see.
Well, I mean,
this is why I love the Big Bang theory, the Big Bang cosmology, because it points out that all time, space, and matter had a beginning. Wouldn't you agree that that's exactly what the Big Bang cosmology points out?
Yeah. Yeah. I also understand that it poses a problem to atheistic worldview, but.
Well, my big thing is if you understand that all time, space, and matter had a beginning, then now you've got a problem. Because of the law of causality, the law of cause and effect, something had to cause those things that had a beginning.
Yeah, but if the universe has been around since the beginning of time. You know, it's been around through all time. There has been.
Oh, well, excuse me. We just established that all time, space, and matter had a beginning.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So it
I
has
agree with
not
that.
always existed.
No, it has been around throughout all time that has existed, which itself is finite into the past.
But again, that still doesn't explain how it got here, because if it had a beginning, which we've already established, it had to have a cause. Anything that has a beginning has to have a cause.
Not if you have been around throughout all time that there has been. Because then that means that there wasn't a time.
No, actually, that would be incorrect, because since we know that even time itself... Oh, well, I got to interrupt any place you're incorrect.
No,
and you're incorrect in the fact
you're not
that
thinking
time
about
itself, it's not about time itself. Time itself has also a beginning. We established that. Did you not remember us talking about that time itself had a beginning?
Yeah, but by that I meant that it's past finite, not that there was a time when there was no time, which would be ridiculous.
But actually, then how do you explain how we are here? If there had to be a time when there was no time, because time had a beginning.
That's a contradiction.
So time cannot create time. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? Time cannot create time?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Time can't be created. I mean,
and
like,
matter cannot create time, can it?
Okay, Hillbilly, you don't see the contradiction with the statement.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm trying to clarify.
Oh
matter
God.
cannot create time, can it? So if time, space, and matter cannot create time, space, and matter, then you have to have something outside of time, space, and matter.
They're not created entities that have been, you know, they just
we've already established, but they are created entities.
No.
Time, space, and matter had a beginning. I mean, you said that yourself.
That's what you
think. And if you
but...
don't realize that, then you're either ingenuous or you are having some kind of mental disorder that does not allow you to keep your short-term memory.
I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you out, Hillbilly.
No, don't help me out, sir. Just acknowledge what you just said. Did you or not? Did you say or not? Did you say or not that all time, space, and matter had a beginning? Because we know this from what? The Big Bang cosmology. Now, would you agree with that Big Bang cosmology that all time, space, and matter had a beginning?
Okay, so you keep interrupting me. So how do you expect to have a conversation with me if you keep it?
Okay, looks like the happy family's not quite as happy. I wonder what's going to happen.
Waiting for you to correct the statement, and then we will move on.
Yeah, I agree they have a beginning, but I'll tell you what I mean. That they have a past finite history.
Okay, here's the deal.
Okay, I have an idea that Christian Hillbilly just muted Dan, because now the control freak of Christian Hillbilly's character comes to the forefront.
I've muted you, and here's what we're going to do. You're going to understand that if all time, space, and matter had a beginning, then it could not have been around for all of everything.
You see what a fucking idiot he is? If all time, space, and matter had a beginning, then it couldn't have been around for all of everything. I kind of want to play it again.
Time had a beginning. That means there had to be a point in time when there was no time. You have to come to that conclusion. There's no way around it. I'm going to unmute you now.
All right. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't understand why you have to mute me and talk over me. Like, are you scared of the ideas?
No, sir. I'm not scared of you. I'm trying to get you to understand. You just acknowledged that all time, space, and matter had a beginning. Did you not?
Yes, and I was going to explain what I meant by that.
Great.
Well, actually,
time, space, and matter had a beginning. So at some point...
So he was going to explain what he meant, and is Christian Hillbilly giving him any opportunity to do that whatsoever? You decide.
In time, there was not time.
Like, you seriously don't see the contradiction in it. Like, maybe you're the idiot.
Not at all.
I mean,
not at all. Are you calling me an idiot?
Here it starts.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's a self-refuting statement. You know?
No, sir. What's self-refuting is the fact that because all time, space, and matter had a beginning, we can see that whatever created it, whatever caused it, is timeless, spaceless, immaterial, all-powerful, omniscient creator of the universe.
All right, can I explain?
But see, you don't want to get to that point,
Yeah.
so you'll deny you'll
No,
deny it, kicking and screaming, even though you just
See, Dan's still keeping his cool. He's still being respectful. He's still looking to play by the rules that Christian Hillbilly set out in the beginning of the conversation.
stated yourself that even time had a beginning. If time had a beginning, that means there was a point in time when there was no time.
Did you hear that? If time had a beginning, there was a point in time where time had no time. This I want to repeat. I want to just find this again, because I want to listen to this again and again a few times, because sorry to do this to you, but I'm obsessed now.
No, it doesn't follow. I mean, time is past finite.
Yes, it does.
That doesn't mean that there wasn't. That doesn't mean that there wasn't time when there was no time, which is a self-contradictory statement.
And your science behind that, sir?
Well, I mean, it's basic logic, you know.
How do you know that, sir? How do you know that?
Non-contradiction.
Oh, and absolutely, the law of non-contradiction states that if there is a point that there is time, then and there is a beginning to that, then we know, because of the law of non-contradiction, not being able to violate the law of cause and effect,
Okay.
that there was a time without time.
You're making a logically
Time
contradictory
had a
statement.
beginning. Do you agree? Do you agree?
It's been around for a
Time
finite
had a
amount of
beginning.
time. It's been around.
Time had a beginning.
It's been around for a past finite amount of time.
Sir, time had a beginning. You just admitted this a minute ago. Now you're backing up from that statement.
No, I'm not backing up. I'm
Are
telling
you
what I
afraid
mean.
of that statement? Is that what you're trying to say?
It has a beginning.
Time had a beginning.
And what that means.
Time had a beginning.
Finite
Are
into
you
the
saying
past.
that time had a beginning, sir?
You see how respectful Christian Hillbilly is by not interrupting his guest continuously, over and over and over and over again, and annoyingly.
Yes, and that means that time has been around for a finite amount of time into the past.
Exactly. And a finite amount of time. That means it couldn't have always been here. Right? Right?
It could have always been there. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, it could not have always been here.
Yeah, right.
So, again, in the timeline, the linear timeline, if you were to put it across the screen right now, from point A to one side to point B to the other side, at one point there was time, and at another point there was not. That's what it means to have a beginning.
No, not really.
So either there
That's
was
self-refuting.
no time at all, which means there was no time.
Well, why, Christian Hillbilly, as a point of observation again, why don't you give Dan a chance to respond, whether you agree with him or not? Let him respond, and then voice your disagreement.
Space and matter,
Like,
and that's
when was-
exactly what the Big Bang says.
When was there no time? Before time?
Sir, I know this is the last fighting ground, the last battleground you have, because unfortunately you understand that this is the death knell of your
No.
belief system.
I mean,
Sir, again, you stated yourself that time has a beginning.
Yes, and what's the problem?
The problem is that anything that has a beginning has to have a cause.
All right, can I say something without interruption?
He asked very nicely if he can say something without interruption. I also want to add that he shouldn't have to ask to say something without interruption, because Christian Hillbilly actually set that as one of the rules, as the number one rule at the beginning of this conversation.
If you'll acknowledge
There's a condition. There's a condition for not being interrupted, and here it is. If you'll acknowledge
that time had a cause.
Okay, so you're not going to interrupt me.
If you'll acknowledge that time had a cause.
So I have to agree with your statement. I can't present
3,
a counter argument.
2,
You're a
are
fucking
you
idiot,
going to
hillbilly.
acknowledge the fact
it broke right down. Willoughby's a fucking idiot, and bang, the family is dysfunctional.
No, I'm not going to acknowledge shit.
That
because
time
there's
had a
no
cause.
evidence for that. There's no evidence for that. You're
Goodbye. Well, Benny, it's been nice chatting with you. I think I've given enough.
All right, so it looks like he kicked Dan out. Now he is turning his sights on Benny.
Enough honesty and open discussion for a bit. Well, you got somebody else coming in anytime, like right now? Oh, Well, I'll give it a couple more minutes. You know what? I will give it to you, Benny. That's the closest I've come to a debate in a long time. Thank you very much. Oh, heathen? Is that who you're talking about? Oh, okay. I didn't know what his real name was. 23 and a homosexual. He needs...
Okay, right away, he has brought homosexuality again into the conversation where it absolutely has no place. We've been watching Dan before he was kicked out for the last just close to an hour. There was no talk of Dan being homosexual. There was nothing mentioned about it at all. Now, Christian Hillbilly, who's kicked Dan out, has brought up an issue of homosexuality that Dan has, which of course makes him a pedophile or akin to a pedophile. This is the sickness of Christian Hillbilly. He's such a sick individual.
Get right with God. That's what he told me one time. I must have been just trying to stick up for them homosexuals. Get you the same penalty, still death penalty.
Homosexuality will give you the death penalty. I think Christian Hillbilly thinks he's living in Iran or Saudi Arabia or one of those places.
It's almost 8 o'clock. I have not eaten. What do you think about dinner there, baby?
Oh, this.
I know.
Okay, this goes on for a few seconds before.
Oh, okay. No, I'm gonna come in peruse. Okay, Benny.
All right, so look how arrogant Christian Hillbilly is. Arrogant bastard, huh?
I'll catch you later, man. God bless.
So at this point, it looks like Hillbilly got distracted by Mrs. Hillbilly mentioning something to do with dinner. Now, it doesn't seem to me, just looking at Hillbilly, that he's the kind of person who would be affected by even the mention of food. I mean, you know, that wouldn't have entered my mind. But anyway, dinner was mentioned. Hillbilly got distracted. And Benny's in the room, and he wins because Dan called Christian Hillbilly an idiot after an hour of trying to be respectful. And did I mention that Benny was in the room? Because Benny's in the room. And you know, when Benny's in the room, mischief is afoot. Especially if you're in Christian Hillbilly's room and Christian Hillbilly is being a fuckhead, a fucktard to his guests.
And the CPS barrister hadn't turned up.
All right.
So one of the judges steps in. One of the judges.
I'm just going to mute, lower this because that's really not part of anything. But there is a conversation here that comes to an end, and then something happens. I would slide it along, but I don't want to go too far, and it'll be just a little easier to play it on its own without audio. Now, in place of audio, I could always sing to you, but it's probably nicer for your, you can't unhear me singing, so I'm not going to do that to you. But there's a personal conversation going on right now. It seems to me that the reason that's happening is because at this point, Christian Hillbilly has been kicked out of his own room. And that is why there's no one really seems to have control, because Christian Hillbilly, sort of had control when he was in the room. Now that he's out, somebody's mic is open, and I guess no one has control to damp it or mute it. So we have only about 2.5 minutes to 2 minutes left of the whole video, and this conversation's coming to an end quick, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll let Benny the Ball wrap it up, because he's on the screen. Again, bear with us.
Hiya, pal.
Mother Nature is the king.
Yeah.
I got kicked out too, man.
I just had to leave because
I cussed him out.
well, I'm better than that. As I pointed out, I didn't call him stupid. I didn't call him ignorant.
Thing is, like you, I was trying to have like a calm conversation with him, but he kept talking over me and interrupting me.
See, I might be running my fault, but I'm entitled to him faults.
I got him to contradict himself too, because he said that there was a time when there was no time, and I was like, "That's fucking mental." You don't see the problem with that?
Time is manufactured by man. The watch didn't.
And that was it. For those of you who hung in there, I hope it was worth it. For those of you who watch it later, I hope the people who hung in there and thought it was worth it told you to hang in there, because it's worth it. Again, thank you for watching. We will see you the next time we go live.